2 p.m. I set my alarm early because I know about me in mornings. Eventually I had enough time to shower and make sure I had everything necessary for the day. I stepped into the world, a droplet falling off a leaf, one obvious student across the road from me doing the same thing, and during the half-hour walk to campus we developed first into a trickle, a trend of students towards campus, and by lunchtime there would be a flood of students, as though a giant hand had reached down and disrupted our ants' nest. We bustle anxiously and with carefully scheduled steps towards the next class. Intro to the English major started my day at 8:30. Seated in our discussion groups, the professor did his best to explain what it takes to approach the human imagination as something attainable, not on a pedestal or being worshipped by a mere observer, but an interactive thing of life which should be approached, though respectfully, as an equal. Weaving together his words carefully, he painted a picture of the semester to come as a time of discovery and excitement, and also one of responsibilities. We are responsible, he told us, to be readers, writers, appreciators, critics, and scholars of the objects of human imagination we encounter here. He considers his responsibility as one at the head of our boot camp. He assured us that we would leave our identities intact, but that we would at times feel that we were suffering endless drills and fundamental exercises. I stopped at the library to check on my next class. I found the syllabus online along with a discussion board where we would be interacting with the other students and developing our ideas in anticipation of the objects we are expected to create in reaction to the authors we encounter there. Thinking suddenly that I was behind, I scrambled to work up a reaction to what I'd read so far in Mary Swander's Girls on the Roof, a poetic narrative, our first assigned piece for that class. It was a great exercise, though in the end I was unable to post it because of the deadline imposed by the instructor. Dang, second class in and I already felt I had some making up to do. Once in class, however, I felt assured that there would be plenty of time and opportunities to contribute to the ongoing discussions. We are encouraged to take this class especially seriously and think closely about the content of the writing there, as each week we will actually be meeting the authors and discussing their work with them. We explored themes in the first chapter, Fireworks, and discussed what things we might anticipate or begin to explore on our own for the rest of the book. After a brief trip home for lunch, I'm waiting for my next class, Literature and Society, to start. My understanding so far of this class is that we will read several novels which are set in times of war and immediately after. Someone that my roommate Karen introduced me to here in town was excited to hear about the content of this class, as she works with the Old Capitol Museum preparing films to show over the course of the semester, which will be similar thematically. I feel like there is a lot to do this semester, but I already feel connected here, both at Summit House, more on that later, and on campus. I must admit that life is full of challenges right now, but I do enjoy that as well. There are visits to apple orchards, a nearby lake, a disc golf course I remember fairly well, and supportive and caring people in my house. 5:33 p.m. Well, my Literature and Society class was canceled today, and just as it was, my friend Chelsea called and invited me for coffee. I sat with her and her friend and fellow army wife, Chrissy, outside of the bread garden for the next hour and a half or so, making a thank you letter to Chrissy's husband Micah for buying me some coffee. Chelsea told me she got a job offer from a company that practices reasonable technology. That is, one that develops but also balances technology's role, keeping in mind its own impacts on the rest of the world. Chelsea's great. She always keeps me in check and never lets me forget about things I sometimes shy away from. My habit is to look away when things get uncomfortable, and I'm starting to feel it's time for that to end. There are many ways a person can develop and grow, I assume. Plenty of opportunities for branching out and also for digging one's roots in. Unsure of exactly what my responsibility is right now, I'm feeling really great about the presence of lots of people to share with, both in classes and at home. At 4:15 I headed for Spanish. I hadn't realized it, but Spanish was a nervous place for me. I wasn't alone in that, which I'm a little ashamed to admit surprised me. The class is conducted entirely in Spanish, and in conjunction with being in a class full of strangers, I didn't officially test into Intermediate Spanish 1. I was actually 5 points short of it. I felt at the time that it was mostly a vocabulary issue, and it turns out I was pretty much right about that. The teacher spent the class breaking down our shyness and got us speaking and introducing each other in Spanish. The fellow sitting next to me, Alex, I hope he gets to go sailing this weekend. He was very open and encouraging and solid in his calm. Just what I needed, all of it. But then I guess it always is. 11 p.m. As I sit down now to check this over, I realize how many things I have to be thankful for. At least I hope I still have them anyway. Friends, relations, acquaintances, teachers, and others who've left inspiration in their tracks for us. Thanks to all of you out there who have left something. Thanks for the inspiration. Thanks for the change. Well, I'm off to bed. Tomorrow doesn't start as early, but there'll be just as much to do. Love and monkeys. Brett.